Hello. So sorry I'm late. Oh my gosh, guys. When I tell you I have been in the midst of it and down and through it. How y'all doing? Can you everybody hear me? Okay. How is everyone doing? Hey, Sarisa, good afternoon. In and out of chat sounds fabulous. Good afternoon, Katrina. How are you? Anna, how are you, darling? How are you? Oh, thank you so much. Oh, he's such a doll. That is that heart of hearts of hearts, hearts of hearts of hearts. Just amazing. I love him to pieces. Um, you can be in and out too. Okay, that's so. You're babysitting your niece. Oh, you're at work too. Oh my god. Hello, Anastasia. Hello. All right. Well, hopefully now that I'm on. Oh, hang on, gang. Let me move this over a little bit. Okay. Um. Hopefully. Hello, Babita. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Where's Chanel? Hey, Chanel, how are you? Okay. We got a lot to talk about today. So we're going to do this today and now, and then in a few hours, I'm going to come back live and we're going to talk about. We're going to do some readings again tonight. So if you missed last night, I'm going to get on a little bit earlier, and we're going to do some readings again later on tonight. Now, I will be going through. Where's my banner? Child, where is my banner? Hold on. Because it's been a minute, right? Okay. This is all alleged. And this is going to be also my opinion about a lot of things. We just have a lot to talk about. I'm sure that you all know by now that we all know what the results of the Diddy trial. I didn't get to see what happened with the bail. I'm assuming they denied him bail because, why are they going to let him out? They got him there. I know they don't intend to let him out. I didn't see when exactly he was going to get sentenced or anything like that. There's rumors that there's going to be another superseding indictment or another indictment coming down the pipe line here. I don't know how true that is or is not. I would imagine, though, that, they didn't get what they wanted with the RICO. So, and they can't charge him again with RICO. That's done. They also can't charge him again with SUED trafficking of neither Cassie nor Jane Doe. They can't charge him with that ever again. That's double jeopardy. So I'm not sure what they're going to charge him with next, if they charge him with anything. That's what we're hearing, that there's another case or cases. With all the people that have come forward civilly, I'm sure they'll probably try to find. I'm not an attorney, so I can't tell you. To me, though, I don't believe that you can charge him with racketeering and definitely not have the same predicate acts. Could you charge him with RICO again for other people with other predicate acts? Probably, but if I'm the feds, I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to. I know now that I'm not going to be able to prove it, at least with what I have right now. So then the question becomes, how hard do I want to try? I don't know. Do I see maybe trafficking of other people? Perhaps. Are there any violent crimes? Perhaps. I don't know. But what has since happened since that time period is, and what I find quite interesting, and by the way, hello on X, hello on YouTube. Let me log into my X account and see how we doing. I guess I can do this over here, right? Come on. Let me see how we're doing over there on X, because I know it's been a minute since I've been, well, live anywhere, really, right? So let me go to my situation here. I think it's on my profile, isn't it? Maybe. Yep. Here we go. Maybe later. Okay, how are we doing over here? Let me see if I can. Okay, so I can't see how many people are watching on me over on X, but hello. As y'all come on in the room, want to let you know that I am looking, I am watching, I am paying attention to what's happening on X as well. Hopefully, I'll be able to log in and be able to see it a little bit better. At any rate, what I wanted to talk about today was this Clayton Howard, civil suit that he brought. We're going to look at it together. And I also want to discuss, because I haven't gotten on here to talk about anything about the case, about, I just haven't. I've been supporting my good friend, Armand Wiggins. Hi, everybody. Be sure that you, the trial's over, but hopefully you can go back and watch some of his shows. And he really gave an amazing, he brought some levity to the case, and were really heavy topics. So I'm extremely proud of him. But I haven't talked about it. And so I have a lot of mixed emotions. And actually, when this came out then after the verdict, then that really said, yeah, I got to talk. Because we've done a video before here and talking about, was she, harmed? I have to be very careful during daylight hours of what I'm saying on this platform, on YouTube, not on X. Was she harmed? Was she this? Was she that? And I personally believed, and we actually went through a very lengthy discussion about the different sex magic and dark rituals and things as to what she had already said had happened to her, and how that, aligned with those rituals, harming her, or should I say, enslaving her from a spiritual point of view. And I still hold to that. I also hold to the psychological damage and the psychosis that does happen when one is a severely battered woman, especially when one starts out at such a young age, at 19. I'm not sitting here saying by any stretch of the imagination that at 19 years old, she wasn't out here doing what she needed to do or what she thought she needed to do in order to get ahead in the music industry. But she was 19. Let's not pretend that she was a completely grown woman. Okay. She was, in fact, 19 years old. And as a 19-year-old, it's a little different, right? You don't really know what you don't know, and you don't really know a lot about anything. And, she was maneuvering and thinking she's getting over on these older men. Some of us at 19, that's exactly what we were doing. I had a number of very older male suitors at 18 and 19 years old, 17, 18, and 19. And let me tell you, they helped pay for my college. Okay. Now, I wasn't taken through the ringer like she was, but I'm just saying, like, some of us, that's, I'm not mad at the girl. But at 19, to be exposed to all of these different, dark sex magic, and even if you don't want to believe in sex magic, let's just say you're like, Lisa, that's just too much. I can't go there with you right now. Okay, cool. Just know that you already know, all of us know that when we have intercourse with various people, especially in various ways, but just in general, there is a transference of spirit. There is a transference of essence. I believe I read somewhere, or maybe maybe our friend Terrence Howard said this, that you literally carry with you like for years and years and years, you carry part of this person's DNA, especially if you're a woman, you carry part of this person's DNA inside of you. Like it becomes a part of you. If you really think that's some scary ish if you think about it. That is scary, that's crazy, that's intense, that's all the things of the things. So, on top of that, the physical violence. Put on top of that the plethora of mind altering substances. And now you're isolated. And you can get to a point when you're in these types of relationships where the person does not need to keep you there with them 24/7, 365 for your mind to be trained that you can't go anywhere. At some point, they don't need to keep an eye on you all the time. At some point, they don't need to have somebody watching over you. At some point, yeah, sure, you can go back to your apartment because why? Because your mind has been so screwed up at this point that you literally can't. You cannot make any other decisions. You cannot make any other, you just can't. So I have a very difficult time when people say, well, she made these choices on her own. I guess, but really is her mind her own? At some point, it clicked. This is the same reason why if you go back to slavery, let's go back to slavery. Why could you have house Negroes and field Negroes? Why did not all of the field Negroes need to be chained up? Why do you guys realize that even when slavery was abolished, that there was freed men and women that would not leave the plantation? Because they knew nothing else. They didn't know how to be free. You could have a house Negro that was not chained and not anything. Why? Because they had already been mind screwed and programmed and brainwashed that they weren't going anywhere. They weren't going anywhere. And unless you've been in a situation where there's so much violence, fear, control, monetary control, please, everyone's like, oh, she made her own money. Come on now. How much really did she make on her own? Well, she paid for this, that, the fourth, and the fifth, and we're going to read through some of that here. She paid for that. That's why, if you think about it, that's why like mafia or gangbangers or whatever, like they will have other people commit part of the crime. Why? Even like people that are like serial unalivers or harmers, SAers, they will have sometimes they will have like a victim or somebody that goes along with them. And they will literally, kidding you not, they will literally have someone that is alongside of them. And they'll have this person committing some of these crimes. Why? Because exactly for this. Well, it came from their Cash App. It came from their Venmo. It came from their PayPal. It came from their bank account. They made the calls. They made the text message. Because then what does that allow for? Plausible deniability. What does that allow for? Reasonable doubt. There's built-in reasonable doubt, right? Hey, Vanderveer, how are you, love? Yes, there's absolutely, and we talked about all of that, and I mean, I can paste that up once again if you want me to. But he's right. Everyone you sleep with, yes, the soul ties are there, and there was definitely rituals, and definitely like it was. I'll have to post that back in here. Yeah, back in the day, we dated older guys with the cars and the money. Absolutely. Listen, that helped pay for a lot for me. I'm not even gonna hold you. That paid for a lot for me. It paid for my college. Okay. I don't think, Vanderveer, this is a very interesting statement because I've heard this made. I can't speak for everyone, but having grown up in a household where my father, you guys, well, this is well known already, that my father did commit some pretty heinous violent acts to my mother. Some of them I witnessed, some of them I just helped treat the wounds in the aftermath. And if half of what this woman said is true, and I have to, I'm gonna have to go along with, I'm gonna have to say that she probably was violently attacked to the degree that she said, and all we needed was this intercontinental video to prove it. I don't know that there's enough social status or there's enough social media status. I don't know if there's enough money in the world to make you want to stay. I think at some point you at the beginning you tell yourself it'll get better. If I can just make him happy, this will stop. If I can just do this, then because the gaslighting and all that happens, and then you get blamed for them acting out and for them being violent to you. And then at some point, you might even say something to somebody and, girl, look at the life that you got. Okay, well, just keep him happy. Well, what did you do? That's the first thing. How many times do we either have said that to somebody else or you think it? Well, what did you do? What do you mean, what did I do? Now, I'm not going to say this. Sometimes you can't get mouthy and you really need to calm it down. People can get pushed, and I don't believe anybody should put their hands on somebody else, period. However, the degree to which he was, this girl, this young woman, and then this woman was getting eviscerated was beyond, I think, anything. I think at some point they may start out that way, but when you stay in it for 10 years, your mind's been screwed up. And all I can do is tell you from seeing it all throughout the women in my family. Well, we're gonna talk about that too. Jane, I might go along with, but I want to ask you a really serious question right now. If you are being beaten mercilessly, if you are having trains ran on you mercilessly under the guise of free offs, and because this is what I want and I want to share this with you, if you are being kept drugged up, how much do you really can you really say that I'm responsible? Because in that moment, see, this is why for me, I would have voted guilty for the trafficking before I would have voted guilty for the prostitution. I've seen this happen too many times where women are in a situation that if they do not perform in bed in whatever capacity is their man wants them to do it, what's the alternative? I get my head bashed in or I do this. I get my head bashed in or I go on and take the drugs and do what I need to do. Because there was enough times where there were other folks that said, hey, listen, they couldn't, whatever, they couldn't finish, the men couldn't finish, the men couldn't, get aroused. And Diddy would take her in the other room and beat her and slap her around. Now, is she an adult? Yeah. It's a gray area for me. It's a gray area for me. Jane to me is completely different. Jane was whoring. Jane, this is the thing that I always say, like, when we women talk about, oh, you need to get paid, you don't get, if they don't pay your bills, then you shouldn't, spread your legs. I hope y'all kids ain't around. Anyway, that in effect, what we are doing is we are having sex for money. That is, right? Prostitution. Did I miss something? Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. It is. That's what it is. You could call a thing. You can say it ain't. You can say it ain't so. But if you're getting paid to lay down with somebody and have relations, that is the definition of prostitution. She was getting her rent paid, $10,000 every month, and was still getting her rent paid while he locked up. Oh, that's what you're talking about? Absolutely. Then, and I believe that she burnt Fitty. I believe it. Okay, shall we talk about this now? I wanted to let people get in here. This is a very deep conversation. Where is it? Yes. Okay. This is a very deep conversation. We're going to continue to have it. Now, I'm not going to read every word. I might put this up somewhere on a Google Doc so y'all can download it if you want to. I've paid for it, so I don't care. I wonder, can I upload that? Let me see. Sorry, gang. I didn't realize, it's been a while since I've been over here. So, I didn't realize I could just upload the whole PDF and not have to showcase it. While this is uploading and processed, it's already there. You guys hang with me. Let your folks know we're gonna be talking about this, and listen, anything that I can't read, I won't. I'm gonna skip some of the beginning parts of it, but we will also talk about the Tyrone Blackburn portion of this. My nose is itching in that pit. Okay. And also, but if there's pictures, which I don't know, but so I'm going to have to censor some of this. Okay. Katrina said, that's what I said. Those escorts coming out saying that they slept with these people are actually admitting to prostitution is legal. Well, the escorts doing it is one thing. I'm talking about just regular schmegular. Okay, can we talk for a second? Thank you, darling. Thank you. Let's just talk. We grown, right? Okay, listen. I have to imagine that some of y'all women, I don't know if all y'all mothers told you this, or I don't know if this is part of everybody's culture. But I'm just going to speak on mine. Okay? And as far as my culture is concerned, when I was coming up, I was told under no uncertain circumstances was I supposed to lay down with a man and they was not putting some money in my pocket. I was not supposed to lay down with a man he wasn't paying for something. Hair done, nails done, pay a bill, do whatever. Now, at some point, we would talk about being a sugar daddy or whatnot, so on and so forth. But we grown, okay? Let's not pretend. We're grown. So what is that? If I'm having sex with you and you leave $200 on the table, on the dresser on your way out, oh, let me take care of that. How much you say your light bill was, and you put the light bill money on your way out the door? Is that not a form of prostitution? Am I missing something? Because you're having sex to get money. So, and you entered into this arrangement for that purpose. Jane was not, okay, could we also be real honest? I don't find Diddy attractive at all. Never have. I do not. I mean, he's probably a little bit more attractive now as he's gotten older. But young Diddy, for sure, was not attracted. Now, now. So you was just getting it because of who you were, your status, your money, and your prestige. Can we not? Let's not pretend. I don't find him. I never did find him attractive. Jane wanted to get her rent paid because whatever 50 was or wasn't doing was or was not happening. Maybe the child grew up. I don't know what happened, but Diddy wasn't paying. But 50 wasn't paying. So she had to have $10,000 her rent paid. And so she dropped the low and spread it wide. Now we all grown here. I'm not. So that's why I have a difficult time with this whole like bringing Jane into it, because she was a extremely willing participant and even had her own. She even would go to other famous people and organize their own little freak offs. So this was a parlay for her. This was a full-time job. Okay. She was the hostess with the freak off mostest. That's my opinion from what came out on the stand. Now, that's my opinion. You going to this party, this party, this party, this person, this person, this person, this famous person that you meeting because you running with 50, you running with Diddy, you running with whomever. So you're in these spaces and you're organizing freak offs on your own. Girlfriend, you are a completely willing participant. I would not have, listen, he'd have been not guilty on that charge right there. None of them charges. Because she was a completely, Kanye, thank you. You're right. I can't remember who else, but it was Kanye and other people. So at any rate, so you don't, no, you were not forced. And this man's still paying your rent. He telling KK, pay your rent. I'm not saying you shouldn't ask them for anything. I'm just saying that there's some of us like, listen, if I'm with somebody, first of all, that's not a requirement. That's fine. If we're building together, that's cool. What I am saying is there is an undercurrent or there is an attitude that no matter what, that all the man is good for is this money, and that's the only reason, right? So if you're giving it up and you're not getting anything out of it, then even if y'all love each other, even if whatever the case may be, that's all I'm saying. There's an attitude towards it. Like when I'm with somebody, especially if we're living together, but even if we're not, we're helping each other, we're building, but especially if we're living together, then of course. But I'm not sleeping with you at night because I expect for you to pay the bill. You see what I'm saying? So it's just a little different. It's a nuance, and we'll talk about that another time. See, Ray, we all know, don't give it away for free. Not the $40. Who doing $40 hookups or something strange for some change? We're not, but the difference is we're not out here telling people did he look like Wesley Snipes. Ooh. You know what? Let me tell you something. I don't think 50 is going to be cheap for the person that he really cares about. 50, though, has never been one to be extremely flashy like everybody else. That's just not who he is. And you know what? I'm going to defend 50 because he looked just like my baby daddy. My youngest father looks just like him, I swear to God. And Al hates it when I say that. But he'll be all right. Don't tell him I said it. No, she's not on OnlyFans. Oh, was she? Okay, so I'm not. I'm saying don't ask the parents if I have. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. All right. Y'all ready? Let's look at this. Because we could talk about this situation for forever. Hey, Emmanuel, how are you, dear? She was coerced and trapped, was put on drugs and beaten. That's what I've been saying, Emmanuel. Who? Jane? Jane was not. Cassie, yes. But I've been saying that, Emmanuel. So I don't know if you just got here. But I've been one of the main ones saying that. So let's go back to Jane. Did actually think that James was going to tell them everything they needed to know if this man is paying her bills or conflict of interest? Yes, I do think that they thought that because I'm sure in her mind she saw Cassie get a total of 30 million, so she figured she'd get up there on the stand and tell her story. So when she does her lawsuit's going to go through first. Also, let's not pretend again that definitely for the both of those women. I mean, for anybody that was that um, testified, they also, by the letter of the law, committed crimes. They, by the letter of the law, committed crimes. Mm. So they had to be given immunity. Ticket TV put that. I mean, I watched one of his. Was it during the trial, the beginning of the trial, somewhere around in there? Maybe not, because I was back home. I think when I saw this one. But anyway, or maybe it was before I left. Um, he said it that they had gotten immunity, and there was in the paperwork. There's a litany of paperwork, but in that paperwork it talks about how Cassie and her and we know that the escorts they got immunity. So oh, you and 50 got the same birthday. He was going to buy a $50,000 car, a $50,000 watch, and a $200 watch, and do the same. Listen, I'm not mad at 50. You need to go in and invest your money. This is why, like, I don't buy, like, I need to get another car, but because my car got totaled last year. But anyway, I don't buy brand new, spanking new car. I don't believe in a huge car note. Does it have four wheels, a steering column, AC, and heat? That's what I need. I don't understand. I don't get it. I'm with him. They should have just used Cassie, Dawn, Mia. I don't Cassie because Dawn, Mia, and Jade. Absolutely, I agree. I completely agree, Vanderveer. Um, if they did not do sex trafficking, they because they did pay for the escorts, and technically, according to what they were charging Diddy with, they would have participated in like drug trafficking, or they could have been participating in the prostitution, like flying the prostitutes, like because they were paying the prostitutes. So some of the things that were being said, or like, when Cassie was like trying to ask people not to say something and, bribing them, some of the things they were saying that Diddy did, these women actually facilitated. So they needed to have immunity. That's why. Okay. And then we're going to bring this up to the last one I'm going to talk about. Every last one of them had to get immunity because if they wouldn't, they would incriminate themselves. That's exactly. Thank you very much. I don't know. It's hard to say. Okay, here we go, guys. This is what y'all came for. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to blow it up. Full screen layout. Exit. I don't like this. Let me do it the other way, gang. I don't like this. I'm just going to do the old fashioned way and share my window. Okay? That's what we're going to do because I can control this. All right, here we go. And zoom. No, I need to zoom. Blow this up a little bit. Can you guys see that good now? Okay, here we are. This is the case number. If you guys want to go on, I like to leave this up here so you guys can, if you guys want to go on Pacer and get your own Pacer account and do whatever you need to do. But if you guys want me to, I will put this in a Google file, in a Google Drive, and I'll put that in the chat. You guys can download it at your leisure. This was filed on 6/30 of 2025, so this was just filed. When I looked this up and downloaded it over the weekend, it looked like he hadn't paid his $450 filing fee. I need to see if he has by now. So it's Clayton Howard, and you guys can look him up on Instagram. There are Instagram let me do this. There are Instagram, there's a couple Instagram and TikTok videos that he's done where he talks about why he did this. But I'm sure by now, if you're here, you've seen that already. So Clayton Howard is suing not just Cassie, but everybody, all these folks, Cassandra, Cassie, Diddy, Bad Boy Records, Dismiss, Epic Records, Combs Enterprises, Beverly Hills Hotel Corp, and Doe Corporations 1 through 10. So there are other corporations he's also filing against that he's not naming here. I'm not sure if that's because he doesn't know for sure, like the actual legal names and what their parent companies are and stuff like that, or what the purpose is. But at this point, he's not naming it. Okay. All right. And then you could tell that this was going to originally be a Tyrone Blackburn filing. Why? Because we have the trigger warning. When Tyrone Blackburn did the little rod filing, you will recall that was the first time we had seen, those of us who look at these files a lot, the first time we had ever seen such a thing as a trigger warning before a filing. So there's going to be some highly graphic things. I'm not going to say all the words, okay, because I don't want to get demonetized. Okay, so Clayton Howard is, in this case, the plaintiff. You may remember, if you watched the trial or you watched the recaps of the trial, he is referenced to by the escort name of Dave. He also is going to be referenced here as Mr. Howard, but he was Dave. That was his escort name. So he's alleging for his complaint against Diddy, against Cassie, Bad Boy Entertainment Records, Epic Records, Combs Enterprises, and Doe Corporations, and together with Combs. Okay. He's bringing the civil, and he was the civil suit, and he said that he's doing this arising from an 8-year period of systemic sexual exploitation, trafficking, and abuse that occurred between 2009 and 2019. So that was the better part of when they were together. And he says this case is going to expose the darker truths behind the narrative. He has an issue with what Cassie is saying. So he's saying that this is, hello, Queen of 10,000 Moons. How are you, dear? Why is he suing the hotel? Queen, I believe he's suing the hotel because he's going to contend that the hotel knew that this is what, because Diddy frequented these hotels, that this particular hotel, that they knew what was going on. Diddy's a rapper. She's a singer and an actress. So they were together from 2017 to 2018. So this is going to be very interesting to me to see why and how he's saying all the way through 2019. Okay. He said the defendants maintained, Kitty, don't do that, a highly publicized romantic relationship from 2007 to 2018, during which both were toxic individuals addicted to opiates and meth. He's already messy. With no regard for others or the law, the relationship was characterized by explicit depraved activity, categorized as swinging. Well, I don't think most swingers do quite the same thing, but okay. With defendant Combs harboring a specific fetish for voyeurism, which we already know. Now, this has come out. The relationship was abusive, and defendant Combs frequently physically assaulted Ventura. In response to domestic incidents, neither could emotionally control. So from his perspective, he's saying, here we go, frequent assaults. But from his perspective, that these were incidents that neither one of them could emotionally be in control of. I find that interesting. In late 2023, Ventura filed a civil action against Combs. We know this, alleging that Combs manipulated, abused, and controlled her for over a decade through violent behavior and disturbing demands. She claimed to have spent over a decade trapped in the cycle of, you're just going to get put back down. DV trafficking and other allegations that he forced her to engage in various acts with male workers while he pleasured himself. Stop. Get down. Pleasured himself and filmed the encounters. They settled this action within 24 hours for what we now know to be $20 million. And then the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Southern District of a court arrested and indicted Combs for trafficking violations of the Mann Act, and with the prosecution's foundation based largely on Cassie's allegations. At the time that I think this was written originally, he was still on trial, and but this didn't get filed until after there was a verdict. So contrary to the narrative, this is his point of view. Contrary to the narrative presented in her civil complaint and the criminal prosecution, so in her civil complaint and the criminal prosecution, his truth, he says, reveals a far more complex and disturbing reality, that she was not merely a victim forced into encounters with male escorts, but rather an active and engaged participant who willingly, he's saying that she actively engaged and willingly manipulated and exploiting others, including the plaintiff, to satisfy her own sexually depraved desires of herself and him. Child, this a lie. This is a lie. For more than 8 years, what is going on? Sorry, someone texted me. I got my son texting me. I got people texting me. Okay. That's a lot, because from his perspective, he's saying she liked it. Now, I mean, I wasn't there. So I don't know. For more than 8 years, the defendants operated a scheme whereby they systematically exploited plaintiffs through manipulation, coercion, controlled substance, and threats of violence to engage in non-consensual activities for their gratification and commercial purposes. Oh boy. I think that Jane Doe definitely is not. I'm not sure about. Listen. I still think I'm going to hold to this at least for a minute, because I've seen it. I've seen women get trapped in this for years and decades. Even my own mother. So I know what physical abuse, consistent, constant, horrifically violent physical abuse can do. Physical, verbal, mental, emotional. I know what that can do to a woman's psyche. So I cannot say, and let me tell you something, not that my mother committed crimes, but my mother, I'm sure, did a lot of things that she normally would not do. I know. I've seen my aunts do things. I've seen friends of mine commit other crimes. Now, they might not have been the actual person doing this, that, the third, but they were complicit and an accomplice. I don't think that was their choice. So if you've never been beat down like that to that point, then I don't know. I'm holding this out. I'm holding out. That she accomplished so basically he's saying she concealed her identity, right? And fabricated the narrative that she and defendant Combs were married. Okay. Defendants drugged plaintiff with controlled substances, including MDMA, in doses 3 times stronger than what she was taking. Okay, well, she's a woman and she's smaller. Okay. To lower his inhibitions and facilitate the exploitation. She used the substances strategically like a spider catching its prey in its web. I really am trying to understand right here, right now. What maybe we'll find out later on in here what the problem really is, because he really mad at her. He real mad at her. He real mad at her. Like, why are you not saying this? Why you? Okay. Basically, she did all this to manipulate the plaintiff into unprotected contact designed to please defendant Combs and to prove her devotion to his appetites. You already knew she was getting beat down. Okay. Okay, so then now we're talking about extended pleasure, self-pleasuring, where she would command. So this sounds like she was playing dominatrix in some cases, and he was being the sub. That's what this sounds like to me. Am I off? This is crazy. This is crazy. Bruising of his eggplant and swollen. Oof. And when he would tell her, she showed no mercy, simply demanding compliance while pleasuring herself in a manner she hoped would satisfy. See, now here we go. To satisfy Combs, who derives satisfaction from watching her through his voyeuristic desires. This is what I'm saying, guys. This is a really sick chain of dominant and sub and dominant and all this intertwining. She's having to do this to please him so that she doesn't get her head beat in. That's how I'm reading. That's how, I guess you have to really comprehend what it takes, what it means when this is happening to a woman, and how it can screw up your whole thing. I hate that when my son calls me, texts me, and then doesn't answer back. Don't do that. So Combs would watch in the shadows, and he's directing the activities as if he was a film director. He's proving my point. Once Ventura was ready to begin, he regulated her responses and controlled the rate of activity, exercising complete dominance over plaintiff. I haven't read this. This is my first time reading this. Over plaintiff and defendant Ventura and what the couple considered a special shared experience. How do you know? This is going to be the issue. This is the level of emotions that are in this civil suit. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have these emotions, and I'm not saying he shouldn't have this perspective, and I'm not saying that he's wrong in his perspective. I'm looking at it from a strictly legal point of view. How do you know that this was a special shared experience to the both of them? How do you know what was in her mind? How do you know? You know what I'm saying? So if all you know as far as how somebody thinks and what they think and whatnot, all you know is what they share with you, and you don't even know if that's for real either. So that aspect is going to be difficult to prove that this was a special time for them. Now, before I get reamed in the comments, now, I will say this. The text messages that she would send back and forth to him, to Diddy, are problematic at best. Can I give you an explanation for why? Absolutely. But is the average person going to be like, girl, if you don't stop making excuses, that absolutely. I'm not saying that I don't get it, but the messages are going to be problematic for her. And they would more so prove this because take it at face value. Those messages are like, I enjoyed it. Do you want to do it? Let's do this again. Now, we don't know whatever the hell else was going on, but those messages in and of themselves, I love you. I just want to be this, blah, 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 blah. Those messages are going to be problematic for her in the future. Straight up. And I hope she understood that. And I hope she's done some really good investment of some of that money. Because, baby, I think she's going to have to give some of that up. I think she's gonna have to give some of that up. That's just my feeling. Oh, this is gonna. I'm gonna catch up. What is y'all talking about? You said, oh, that's what you said that she should have told him. She probably should have. I can't say that she shouldn't have. I can't say that she shouldn't have told him. She shouldn't have not done things on her cycle. But I also don't know whether or not Diddy forced. Like I don't know how much control she had, an agency over his own. No, he's grown. But I will say this: he is, he's not a lawyer, and he had to fire Tyrone Blackburn because Tyrone Blackburn wasn't going to bring this case right away because this case would make Cassie look horrible, and the prosecution didn't want that case to go awry. So Tyrone Blackburn, he got a little rod over there, and whomever else. So Diddy needs to get absolutely needs to get convicted of something so that Lil Rod civil case can go through. He was hoping he was going to get convicted of RICO, but he did not. Um, I mean, I think he should get paid, but I don't think just Cassie should pay him. While defendant Combs appeared to serve as a protector rather than oppressor, interesting. Supporting Ventura's desires and catering to her with wine and fruit during encounters, his presence was deliberately intimidating as part of his role in protecting his partner from the men they exploited. I can't. Threats of violence were implied when Combs wished to assert control, and then he threatened to pistol whip the plaintiff. At no time, according to him, did she display fear when engaging in or about to engage in encounters. Any abuse witnessed by plaintiff occurred during domestic complications between the defendants, including jealousy, ego, arrogance, aided by extensive drug use and sleep deprivation, which contributed to violent outbursts from defendant Combs, who consumed far more substances than she did. Okay, now here we go to the essay and non-consensual recording. I'm going to go along with the non-consensual recording, for sure. But what I'm not clear on, and we're not going to end up going through all. We're going to read this part, but I'm not going through all 50 pages. Now let's get good. Non-consensual. I'm trying to understand how did he even get into this? Like, were you not an escort? I'm confused. Over the years, plaintiff was essayed by Ventura, who would manipulate and force herself on plaintiff during her cycle, okay, against his will. Defendants filmed him in compromising encounters without his consent. I'm gonna give that to you too. For years, creating recordings that the couple would watch together after the encounters ended and used for mutual self-gratification. Cassie, you in trouble, girl. You in trouble. You in trouble. You in trouble. You are in trouble. You are in trouble. I'm not even talking about this from my own heart of hearts, emotional, heart-centered Lisa says this is really not consensual on her part either. I'm only looking at this by the letter of the law. I'm only looking at this by the letter of the law. And to me, I'm not a lawyer, but I mean, I've been watching, I'm not a lawyer, but I could read. And to me, from what I understand about different criminal, now granted, this is civil, but civil is kind of based on criminal activity. By knowing some of the civil determinations or definitions, I should say, of what these things are, she in trouble. Civilly, because let's also remember, civilly, it only has to be a preponderance of the evidence, or more likely than not, 51% basically. That's the burden of proof in a civil suit. In a criminal case, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. And in Massachusetts, it's beyond a reasonable doubt with a moral certainty. To a moral certainty or whatever. Preponderance of the evidence. Let me tell you the other reason why I say she in trouble. And we're going to finish this first part of it, because I have a feeling the rest of it is going to be way too graphic. And I'm not really, I'll be on here for a little bit longer, but I'm not going to be on here for forever. Because I got to come back. She already testified on the stand to most of this. The factual summary of the last page. Yep, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. I want to get these counts in, these paragraphs in, then we'll go from there. She already testified to a lot of this stuff already occurring. This is in the criminal case. Text messages have already been put out there. All this stuff has already been put out there. He doesn't really, and his name was mentioned, and he brought, and he all up and through. She in trouble. I hope she just got her a damn good lawyer, because baby girl, you in trouble. By the letter of the law, you in trouble. When plaintiff confronted defendant Ventura about the recording and vocalized his desire not to be recorded, she explained that she enjoyed their sexual relationship and provided reasons. She then opened up her MacBook to a previous recording and pleasured herself to completion in front of him. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Watching an encounter involving the two of them, demonstrating the extent of her manipulation and control. I gotta ride out with him on it. I don't know what she had. I don't know, but you're in trouble, girl. You in trouble. Here we go with the traffic. For more than 5 years, they flew him everywhere for purposes of commercial engagement, using him as entertainment to satisfy their fetishes and personal ambitions. They drug manipulated him and traumatized him while themselves engaging in toxic domestically. Basically, they was fighting, arguing, cussing, fussing, and violent while he was there. She had a specific preference in selecting her companions, which I guess if I have to get trains ran on me, I guess I'll get to at least choose who. And chose him for 8 years over many other available options, as subsequent criminal trial proceedings have revealed. The allegations demonstrate that she deceived, manipulated, and injured him plaintiff and therefore should be held accountable alongside of him as the two were partners in these criminal enterprises. It's very interesting that this phrase is used because they found him not guilty of RICO. I wonder if they would have found him guilty had he been here. Had he been, I think there's more than a few ways they could have found him guilty, but I digress. Obstruction of justice. His ability to seek timely legal recourse was deliberately frustrated through coordinated effort involving now here's Tyrone Blackburn, his formal counsel, who communicated with federal prosecutors without plaintiff's presence. Ooh, Mr. Blackburn. Mr. Blackburn. I need my gaffer. We need to call you to the front. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. We got where he at? Where's Blackburn at? Where? No. Oh no. You talking to the feds without your client being present? And without your client knowing what's going on? What? Plaintiff was advised to remain silent and was manipulated into inaction, with his attorney intentionally delaying action to protect defendant Ventura's credibility. Plaintiff was specifically advised that he should file a complaint, that should he file a complaint, he would lose credibility before the court and therefore should refrain from doing so if he wished to do what was right and tell the truth. Wow. His counsel deceived, ignored, and misled him regarding the creation of the initial complaint against the defendants and when it would be filed. If he does not file suit against Blackburn for this, if he can prove this, if he does, he needs to take action. That's disgusting. Despite serving as a complaint witness for the government and providing information that was later corroborated by investigators, thereby validating his credibility and the truthfulness of his statements, federal prosecutors ultimately withheld plaintiff's testimony despite its corroborative value and his valid allegations against both defendants. Now, I'm going to say this. Oh, this is getting real good now. Now this is getting real good. Not that it wasn't good, but this is getting real juicy. So let me get this straight. Y'all wanted to convict him, but you did not want Cassie to look some kind of way. But if I'm going to keep it 5,000, not just 1,000, 5,000, if they had allowed this man to testify, you could have got RICO. And I'm going to tell you why. Because then you could have tied together Cassie as an employee and both of them as part of a criminal enterprise. Not saying that she wasn't also a victim at the same time. There's something called Stockholm Syndrome. Have y'all ever, this is side note. This is rabbit trail for a second. Have y'all ever heard of this? Let me share this screen with you. Have y'all ever heard of the Patty Hearst story? Now, we Some of us are of a certain age, so we going to know about Patty Hearst. Some of us don't know. Some of y'all might be too young. But here, I'm going to give you this. Patty Hearst. The Patty Hearst story involves the 1974 kidnapping of Patricia Campbell Hearst, the granddaughter of publishing magnate William Randolph Hearst, by the Symbionese Liberation Army, or SLA. Initially seen as a victim, Hearst's case became complex when she later appeared to join the SLA, even participating in bank robberies, adopting the name Tanya. This led to questions of coercion, brainwashing, and her own agency in the stop it, kiddies, and her own agency in the events. So basically, 2 months after the kidnapping, Hearst was seen participating in bank robberies, sparking public debate about her involvement. They had already demanded the release of 2 of their members and a food distribution program from the poor. But her daddy was a publisher. I don't know how the hell her daddy was going to do that. Okay, anyway. Hearst eventually was captured, tried, and convicted of bank robbery and other crimes, despite her defense arguing she was brainwashed. She received a prison sentence, later commuted by President Jimmy Carter, and received a full pardon from President Bill Clinton. Now, this case remains a controversial and fascinating study in coercion, psychological manipulation, and criminal responsibility. It continues to be studied for the complex interplay of victimhood, radicalization, and personal choice. Why am I bringing that up? Because this feels a lot like that. This feels a lot like that. Okay? This feels like there's at some point this became such of a lifestyle that it was the lifestyle. I have to stop short of saying a completely willing participant. But under the eyes of the law, under the eyes of the law, as much as I know, we have to separate this, guys. We have to, and I can't believe I've come full circle. I'm at a different space than I was when I started this live a little bit ago. Until I read this. Now, I hadn't read this. It's the first time we're reading this together. I heard about it, but I hadn't read it yet. I want to read it with y'all. Under the eyes of the law, and this is one thing that I am learning about. It's a hard lesson to learn. The more that I get into legal, all things legal, I'm actually, hopefully, before the end of this summer is out, going to start paralegal courses, just because I'm interested, right? I'm very interested, and it really is. It's very thrilling to me. It would also be very thrilling to me to be able to help defense, some defense attorneys or something like that with filings and things of that nature. But anyway, in research, I would love to do that. You have to separate your emotional empathy and even what sometimes is common sense from the law. Common sense tells me this girl was in too deep and there was no way she was going to get out. And not only common sense, lived experiences, knowledge of psychology, knowledge of all these things. I understand it. But from the perspective of the legal system, that's why I brought up the Patty Hearst case. That was the only thing I could remember. And I was 6 years old when it happened, but I remember President Carter commuting her sentence. And I definitely remember Bill Clinton pardoning her. But I really vividly remember when President Carter commuted her sentence, because I can remember my dad, we were all eating, because, we were watching nightly news. There wasn't all this stuff we had now. And, 8, 9, however old, what was it, 1976 when he was in office. 77 through 80, I think, or somewhere around there. Anyway, long story that's long. I just remember my dad making a statement like, that privileged Caucasian woman, that's what privilege gets you. What would Paul say? The complexion for the protection. So I bring that up because according to the law, Patty Hearst was convicted. According to the law, I can't, like, there is a defense of battered woman syndrome, but if y'all remember, look up a movie. I think Suzanne Summers was in it, The Burning Bed. Was it Suzanne Summers or was it Farrah Fawcett, Burning Bed. Look that up. That's a famous case from years, decades ago. Woman that got beat down so bad she burnt her husband up in the bed. She sure did. And I think she got convicted and thrown in jail, thrown in prison. Do you understand? So, what's this? Your parents said the same thing. Yeah, money talks. All the boys' school flipped Diddy just like R. Kelly flipped him. They got money and turned into that same devil. Could be. Absolutely, men can be victims as well. We've talked about that before, especially in regards to the church and things of that nature. Anyway, yeah, Farrah Fawcett. See, Sarisa, you and I, okay, here we go, guys. Thanks for hanging with me. By the way, anybody that's here, if you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. If you're following me on X or not following me yet on X, please do follow me on X. Leave me some comments. Smash the like, and then do hit the bell. I will be here more often as time progresses. So, because I'm loosening up my schedule so I can get back to doing one of the things that I absolutely love. Okay, denial of justice and present claims. He's lived with this trauma in silence. He's got psychological and physical consequences with no avenue for justice. So basically, she destroyed his career, but he feels she's escaped liability by using the allegations of harm to avoid criminal responsibility for her own actions, thereby denying victims like him the justice to which they're entitled. Wow. With the opening of legislation that granted survivors a look-back window to seek justice against offenders, plaintiff learned that he had been given a second chance to obtain the justice he deserved. Plaintiff has sought justice for over a year, only to be denied through the manipulation of legal professionals who wish to affect the criminal trial of Sean Puff Daddy Diddy Combs, baby. And people wonder how it is that folks like Diddy, that people like OJ, that whatever, they wonder how it is that we can get to a point where we're just like, you know what, too bad, so sad, because you played dirty. Not to me, in the court of law, they did not prove beyond a reasonable doubt RICO. They didn't. Honestly, I really felt the trafficking of Cassie way more than the Mann Act for either her or Jane, because I felt if you're going to charge him with the Mann Act, charge him with trafficking the escorts. That's what who paid you for Cassie? Nobody. So how is it the Mann Act? Like, I don't even understand that one. Anyway. But now you're playing fast and loose with the facts. Mr. Howard was used and manipulated. Now tired of the misconduct and incompetence, he sought action himself and refuses to remain silent. He seeks declaratory, injunctive, and monetary relief under the federal trafficking statutes. There, we know that one. The New York State Human Rights Law, the New York Services for Victims of Human, you know what, California, civil cause of action for Florida, civil remedy, U.S. Code, SA from California, civil liability in New York. All of those statutes, that's a lot. We'll look them up another time. I'll put this up there for you. And then he said that the court has jurisdiction. Where did he file this? I think he filed it in New York. I have to look. I think I don't I have to look to see where he filed it. Pursuant to this action, yada yada da 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 da. All defendants are residents of the state in which the district is located. So they residents of New York State then? Oh, he's in New York too. I thought he was in California. Howard is a resident of New York and New Jersey. Beginning in the fall of 2009, he accepted work as an independent male companion in New York. This is what I was like. I thought he was under the alias Dave. He saw clients for almost 60 days before he met the defendants. He is recruited by them beginning in 2009 and concluding in 2018. This is what I don't understand. All the relevant times here, and he met the definition of an employee while under the control. That's crazy. Defendant Combs resides in the state of California. At all relative times herein, Combs met the definition of an employer. Cassandra resides within California, or she did at least. All relevant times herein, she met the employer. So he's saying that they both were employers. I don't know that bad boy and the rest of it does. Okay, here we go. Factual allegations. Here go. Here's the factual allegations. He met her, and she called herself Jackie Starr in 2009. She identified herself as Jackie Starr, invited him to the London Hotel in New York to serve as a companion, to provide her with time and company in the privacy of her hotel room for an agreed upon hourly rate. So she hired him for that. She tried to conceal her identity using makeup in a dim lit room. She did not inform him prior to the meeting that somebody else would be present, aka Diddy. Offered him alcohol and weed. After 30 minutes, she asked to see the personal identification for safety purposes so she would know who he really was. He showed her his New York driver's license. She informed him of her intentions by standing and requesting that he exposes himself under the influences of substances provided. He agreed. Then she told him they was not alone and that her quote-unquote husband was upstairs, but assured him the situation was acceptable because her quote-unquote husband had consented to her having a male companion visit to see where things might lead. They were participants in the lifestyle, according to her, and that her husband preferred to watch. Stated that she preferred men with darker complexions, complimenting his complexion before excusing herself to retrieve her husband. When got him, whom she introduced as her husband and presented to him as Frank. If you don't stop, y'all could have come up with better names than that. He greeted him with indifference and then went to get the baby oil and the Astroglide, both of which had been positioned on a platter in the center table. He then went into a dark corner. Mr. Howard was instructed not to address Frank directly and to speak only to her, to Jackie. He concealed his identity wearing a baseball cap pulled over his eyebrows and a cloth tied around his nose and mouth. When he did speak, it was to inquire whether or not it was whether it was acceptable or she needed anything. He also provided direction to them both, regulating their pace and everything else. Okay, how far do we want to go? Y'all, I'm not, hold on. But as they would call a woman, I'm sorry, but as they would call a woman, but he was just a high-paid, absolutely, I agree. High-paid prostitute, and if he didn't want to be there, he could have just left, like they were saying about Cassie. Katrina, this is what the problem that I have too. I need to make this smaller because I'm not sure what he's going to say next. Okay, so he He's saying that financial compensation was used as a form of dominance. He had to turn off his cell phone and surrender his clothes. What? Well, he's saying which prevented him from leaving by choice without compromising his safety. Some suites required keys to access the floor. But this is my thing. Why did you even go then? Why did you continue to go? If when you're there you can't leave, again, this would have proved RICO. This is kidnapping. This is kidnapping by the letter of the law. This would have been payment for illegal services by the letter of the law. This would have been SA by the letter of the law. But in order to prove it, you'd have had to take your star witness and make her a party to it. And you didn't want to do that. I mean, Jesus. Okay. All right. You guys, if you're going to read the rest of this, through the use of manipulation and financial coercion, he would remain in these phases for hours with each individual. So basically, they would go, have sex multiple times, and they would keep him high. And basically, then they were controlling the start of the activity and would seek Mr. Combs' permission regarding if she could progress to the next stage. But if he wasn't ready, but Diddy would give her permission to self-pleasure. Okay. Have y'all seen enough? We'll have to pick this up. There's a lot going on, and I was not prepared. Because I'm coming back later on. Let me see. Like, this is describing one encounter with Miss Ventura could consist of 15 to 30 individual, y'all check this out, 15 to 30 individual sessions, each including all 4 stages. The number of sessions also depend on the number of days Mr. Howard would be detained until the defendants are ready to return his phone and clothing and release him. So he would be kept for days. For days. This wasn't just a few hours. This is for days. If he attempted to leave, he'd be coerced by her into waiting or ignored if he knocked on the suite's master bedroom seeking to retrieve his items. That's kidnapping. So he says here that basically her trial testimony that she didn't want to do it unprotected, and that she only did because he claimed that he would blackmail her. I do believe that. I don't see why she would want to have unprotected, relations with a bunch of different people, especially not if they're escorts. And I can also then understand why she kind of manipulated the situation to at least get people that she felt like she knew and that would be safe. So I don't know. Like, he says this allegation was substantiated in one instance during the trial. It is not the same at all. It also does not completely substantiate all of Ms. Ventura's claims. Of course, force and coercion, as every instance, is not the same. So he says that he did not force her to engage in, after the overdose. Oh, this other thing. He's saying that Diddy did not R-word her after the overdose that he was there for. He said she begged for it. despite Diddy's repeated attempts to not do it because she had OD'd. I know. I mean, I know that I know you probably weren't here at the beginning, but I talked about the fact that I knew she was with somebody way older than her at the beginning. I mean, there's a lot of us that were with a lot older men for money, not for this, but for money. I get that. I still stand by my statement, though, that you cannot get abused this long and in that to this degree and then be doped up all the time and really have a ton of free will. You just can't. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it. Just not even getting drugged up, but just the little physical abuse. I've seen it. I lived underneath it with my dad and my mom. I grew up underneath it. All my aunts, my grandmother. I have an aunt that can't have kids because of the abuse at the hands of my maternal grandfather. And then she got severely abused by her husbands. So I've seen it. So you're never going to convince me that somebody literally can have their own volition, their own autonomy when the abuse is that severe. My only statement, and I'll make it again, and I'll make it till I'm blue in the face. By the letter of the law, Miss Ventura is in a lot of trouble. By the letter of the law, Miss Ventura is in a ton of trouble. I'm just saying. She probably was turned out, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to say she deserved everything that she got. I cannot do that. He is. He's big man. Yep. And she was. And then he dangled the fame and everything. I mean, okay. So he feels that she is the one who initiated it, but he does not know. So this is where I think some of this is going to be problematic, because if I'm her attorney, I'm asserting he wasn't aware of whatever else happened prior. He was not aware of whatever else happened prior to her entering into the room. He doesn't know. You know what I'm saying? So this may not be. Now he's claiming that Mr. Combs, who was observing the activity, noticed there was no protection being used. He stopped and confronted her. Now that could be interesting. In response, she lied and said that she had reviewed Mr. Howard's test results and that he was clean. So now this could be very interesting. And then he said, nah, he wasn't gonna play around with that. So he said, nah, pimp, that ain't what happened. Mr. Howard then provided his actual results and then to Diddy right away from his email. Now, once it started, though, then he would be pressured into continuing it by both parties. So, and he said he would be the exclusive partner of her, and it was agreed he would be compensated in exchange for clean results and continued exceptional service. And that he agreed. Okay, so here we go. Now, this is the thing that we're going to have to talk about, y'all. The arrangement was agreed to after Mr. Howard was coerced into participating into a orgy with her, Diddy, and another person by the name of. Yeah, she should cut him a check. Let him go and buy him business. She was a slave to the man of drugs. People need to understand. I completely understand it, but I'm just telling you about the letter of the law. It's a wrap. He does contradict some stuff. It is problematic. The men say they paid change. The pay change. Yes, I know. Let me see what else we got here, y'all. Let me skim through this. Child, this is crazy. 2 men, he outlasted. Okay, here we go. I want to see this too. He impregnated her, and she had ultimately decided to not have the child, to abort the pregnancy, when she was unable to locate him for a period of time. I find that hard to believe that that was the reason. I feel like she probably wasn't going to have that child. Even after aborting the pregnancy, she sought to have unprotected sex for 4 years after. After reconnecting when separated for almost 8 months, she confessed to him at New York City's Gramercy Park Hotel. She had aborted the pregnancy. Despite this revelation, she insisted on unprotected sex at the very encounter, which lasted several days as the two reconnected after the separation. After his victory in the encounter with Daniel Phillip, in other words, he won, like he outlasted him. It was after his victory that Okay. This is the thing. I see a few that what could be problematic. You kept coming back. The next section talks about them drugging him. You kept coming back. You kept coming back. You literally were gone and kept coming back. You literally did not have contact with her for months, and you kept coming back. Now, he does say that he witnessed horrific acts of violence against her, but he's saying it wasn't to force her to have sex. He's saying it was just because they were two drug addicts and going at it, which I think is probably what the jury believed. Guys, I'll put this up. Give me a little bit. I'm going to create a Google Drive that you all can have access to, and I'll put the link in the chat. I'll start putting some of these filings when I get them from Pacer. I'll start putting those filings in there. I don't know what to tell you. I think she's in trouble. I think that if I'm a good defense attorney on her behalf, I'm going to be like, well, why did you keep coming back? Where's the now? I don't know. Does he have text messages? Can he prove that they, said, well, we're going to divulge all of this or whatnot, so on and so forth? I don't know. I don't know what receipts he's going to have. But he better have some. And then he can take her own testimony and corroborate a lot of what he said. He can take a lot of her own text messages and corroborate what he has said. I would imagine, I don't know if he kept the text messages. I don't know what the heck went on. But he has somewhat of a case here. And he wants to be given compensatory damages, past and future medical expenses, past and future lost earnings and diminished earning capacity, because she drug him in there to the she told the U.S. attorney about them. Well, he said that she did on the Instagram, but then here it looks to me, well, I don't know, maybe they did contact Tyrone Blackburn, I'm not sure. And then when she outed him on the stand, pain and suffering, emotional distress and damages, punitive damages to punish defendants' egregious criminal conduct and deter similar future conduct, pre- and post-judgment interest is provided by law, costs and reasonable attorney fees, punitive damages pursuant to Florida statutes, and such other further reliefs as course deems just and proper. And he's doing this pro se. He gonna need an attorney. If he's gonna go, this girl got $30 million. He gonna need an attorney. But I do feel like there are some things that he can prove in here. I do feel like he has a case beyond the preponderance of the evidence. I really do. I really do. Well, I listen, I think from what I'm understanding from everybody and from what I've been able to read between the lines too, he really had changed his life and he wasn't even gonna go down this road. But once she drug him in there to once she drug his name into it, and then once he heard what was being said and that the rest of the story from his perspective wasn't going to be told, then he's like, well, no, pay me because now you've ruined my life again. He did not want this. So I mean, I think at least one, maybe two of the encounters. I mean, and he, they did record him. I mean, I don't know. If he could have left, so could have Cassie. She booked a room to hide her burner phone because she was cheating. Now that's no. Well. However, he said they took his phone, like at least in the first time, or whatever the case may be. He took his at least once. At least once they took his phone and his clothes, so he couldn't leave for days. That's kidnapping. So he couldn't have left. I mean, he could have, but he said, and you have to read this because there are some locations he was at that there was really no escape. So I don't know. I think if you can prove at least one of those encounters where he was kidnapping, that's where they could have got to Rico. That's where they could. Them not bringing this man to the mother trucking stand, and I was like, well, why wouldn't the defense? Because it was going to damage him too. This man could have proved the kidnapping. He could have proved Rico all by himself. Fools. Thanks, Anna. Thank you. She was sleeping with how many people, and he was like, five. Yeah, well, stop, y'all. It's complicated. It's going to be interesting. It will be very interesting to see how it's going to play out. I need to look on Pacer and see if he's paid the filing fee because as of the other day, he had not. He said he was a felon on hard times and the money kept him stuck. Oh. Okay, but he has her testimony messages. He said in the interview, Cassie said antibiotics didn't work anymore, so she has. Oh, shit. Someone sued them a few years ago for giving them. Yes, I remember that. She lied in her lawsuit. Yes, I understand. Well, I don't know how much lying she did in the lawsuit, but I'm just gonna say the rest of the truth came out. I'll say the rest of the truth. He better get a good lawyer. I agree. I know Diddy is named in this. Oh, it still wasn't paid yesterday, Teresa? Ooh, it'd be messy for me to take up an offering for him. If I'm Diddy, I'm settling with him out of court and I'm paying him off. He could potentially use him as for an appeal, correct? That would be at this point, I don't know. Do we just take the Mann Act and keep going? I probably would. It wasn't a court trial. The people were at the Pussycat Theater. Stop playing. Yeah, we weren't there, so we can't say it was true or not. We can't. But if we're gonna put everything together, if we're gonna put it all together, y'all, baby, let me tell you something. This ain't cute. this is problematic. By the letter of the law, y'all. By the letter of the law. And that's why I brought up the Patty Hearst case, the Patricia Hearst case, because By the letter of the law, she participated in bank robberies with the SLA, her supposed kidnappers. Were they her kidnappers? Maybe. I don't know. She said they were. She said it was, but that they brainwashed the girl. Now, granted, well, she wasn't going through the same thing the Cassie was going through, but by the letter of the law, she participated. And according to what everybody could see, she looked like a willing participant. According to this gentleman, Mr. Howard, she was a willing participant. She was the initiator. She was the payor. She was an employer. She was part of the game. And she was as much an active part of this game and an active part of withholding his clothes and his phone and filming him. And so according to him and his perspective, the two are one and the same. And by my meager interpretation of the law, what I've seen, that girl in trouble. Hey, Betsy, how are you, dear? Hello. This would have been good to use the cards. Oh, maybe tonight. Cassie also said she would go for Jay-Z if he was a guy. I remember that. Listen, I don't know what to tell y'all. All of this is what I can say. This is what I can say. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play. I have a quick thing to play for y'all, and then we're gonna do close. We're gonna close out. You know, I still have my gavel because we gotta call Tyrone Blackburn to the. He got to come to court because Tyrone, Mr. Blackburn, sir, what you over here helping the prosecution to skew the trial so that your client can get a large settlement or get a sum of money in the civil court. We have a problem. We have a problem. Here you guys go. I'm gonna matter of fact. Let me grab this real right fast, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Let me grab this quick, fast, and in a hurry. Oh, goodness gracious me! I cannot. All right, guys, take a look at this. So tomorrow at noon Eastern for 90 minutes, you guys, there's right here. I put this in the chat. You can go here and register. If any of you are interested in creating your own coaching business or creating your own online business where you're helping people, teaching people, where you're helping them thrive, survive, or do better than that, actually, teaching them life skills or other things like that, I want you to go to that Eventbrite. I want you to register for it. It's completely free, but you will also then have an opportunity to do something very amazing. And the other thing very amazing is you're going to get an opportunity to get a very sweet, very amazing bundle deal where you're going to be able to build this AI coach build. I hope I can, oops. You're going to get an amazing opportunity to come to either New York or come to Greensboro or online, participate in this. You're going to get a special deal on this AI coach build. I know some of you probably, if you looked at building your own websites or your own businesses, and there's all these ads for like $27, pay me $27 and AI will build your website, or $97 and AI will build your whole, your offer and everything else. You're going to get a $27 or a $97 cookie cutter website offer landing page. It's going to look like everybody else's, and it's not going to be yours. So you might as well come and work with me, because I'm building, and I've built, and I'm in the middle of building the rest of it, an entire AI-driven program app online that you can access, and I will walk you through step by step. And by the end of this particular weekend, you'll have your business built. And also then you can work with me for another 12 weeks and get more strategy, can help you with your launching, can help you with your first clients. I've really gotten this down to a science now. It's much better than it used to be back in the days when I first started. And I'm really excited about this opportunity. We're putting in a lot. This is not $27, not $97. This is an opportunity to really build something fabulous and fantastic. Okay. So please consider doing that. Please consider registering for this so that you can come and just find out about your niche and your offer and all that stuff. So you've been thinking about it. I'd love to see you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Cericia. Tyrone busy running. Child, people over. Child, he need to sit down somewhere and take a few more lessons or do something else with the bar. I agree with you, but I really want people, especially in this day and age, guys, having yourself a side hustle or having something that you really can hang your hat on and doing something that fulfills you outside of your 9 to 5 is very important. It is very important. We can't, we need to have something else that we do. And so, um, come on out if you've been thinking about doing coaching or if you're like a healer, teacher, mentor, anything of those on those lines, come on out and let's see if we can't do it together. All right. I'm going to get out of here, y'all. I've been on. I didn't only meant to be on an hour. So been on here an hour, 45 minutes. I will be coming back in a couple of hours. We'll do some more readings tonight. Maybe an hour and a half. We'll do some more readings tonight. I'll come on earlier than I did yesterday. And let's have a little bit more fun together tonight. And we do need many more. We need more people like all of us shining light into the world. Because trust me, it is a tad bit of a mess. All right, gang. Peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. I love you very, very much. Namaste.